Welcome to Comic Book Wednesdays, a weekly series where we talk about comic books. We're your hosts. I'm Ian.
I'm Al.
I'm Shane.
If you enjoy our content, please remember to subscribe, like, comment. This week we are reading issues Avengers 7, 8, and 9 by Jonathan Hickman. And again, we are making our way closer and closer to Secret Wars. Uh, so, what do you guys think? It's getting a little juicy.
Yeah, that ended really weird.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was pretty good.
Do you want to jump into the ending right away, or do you want to start from the
I kind of want to build up if that's okay with you guys, because as 7, 8, and 9 kind of went on, I kind of got the feeling I was like, okay, where is this going? How is it going to lead to Secret Wars? And then as soon as at the end of 9 hit, I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah. So, I mean, we see a big character introduction in this one of Starbrand.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole introduction of this character is kind of fucky just because uh, the process in which the Starbrand is created is broken. Um,
Yeah,
and
because we have all those satellite things getting attacked by the white event, right? That's what it's called.
yes, the white event, which is essentially just the process of making
Creating a new star brand, right?
Yeah, that's my take of it. It's the process of creating a star brand. And it's the way the Earth kind of protects itself. Um, and I don't quite understand personally, like the behind the scenes, like where we're seeing this like interdimensional space with the different ships and like they like kind of like control the behind the scenes is what I'm kind of gathering. What did you guys make from that? Because that was kind of confusing me.
Um, yeah, I wasn't quite sure exactly what they were trying to get across there at the beginning of that episode, the first edition from this set, as far as how
I
that was coming across.
I kind of had the thought that as the universe and things kind of create and destroy, because it has that line in there where it's like this has been here for like thousands of years, and even 1,000 years before that, or hundreds of years, or
Mm-hmm.
so it's definitely emphasizing how old the process is. And so I'm wondering if all of those things there were set in place of like, okay, we're going to create a star brand close to where the white event originates. But since it was just hitting all of these different locations all at the same time, that made me think that okay, when they say the process is broken, it's because it didn't have a choice in selecting a closer planet. It just defaulted to the one that's left alive.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: am I understanding the white event wrong? I thought the white event was the creation of Starbrand, not
Yeah,
necessarily
that's the way
Starbrand.
I had it too.
Oh, I might have had
I
it
think
backwards then.
I thought you were talking, Shane, about the void event being the bluish mass thing that was attacking those star stations. Um,
I think that's something else, and I don't know if they
yeah, I don't think that's
necessarily
quite the
explain it.
white event. I think that's, like Ian said, something else. And I don't think it necessarily just randomly picked the one that was left alive, because at the end of that issue, the Spider guy and the Watcher guy were like, what's left? What stations are left? And I want to say they referenced the numbers that they said in
They
that
the
episode later in
universe.
the
They
yeah.
reference 616 universe, so I'm assuming each station is for a universe.
Yeah, that's the way I
Okay.
was looking at that.
That makes more sense.
So like to me that's tying into the overall story, right? These stations represent, so like they're in this interdimensional kind of like bleed area where like these ships go through these like this like whatever red area, like a jail or whatever you want to call it, like a matrix. That's a good word,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those ships represent the individual universes. And as our story progresses, more and more universes are being destroyed because of the incursions. And I don't, maybe we're seeing that in this interdimensional space, like that's what's happening there, and like it's just not making sense yet because it's so early on.
Right.
So like what I was taking is like the people in the 616 universe ship was like, screw it, we're in trouble, like things aren't working right, we need to activate the white event to create the star brand in order to protect Earth and the universe.
That's a good take on that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was seeing there. However, because everything was broken, it didn't select the star brand appropriately. And then, like, in the issue where we see them, like, kind of going through this college setting, we see different random characters who, like, are really completely, like, not important. But the key
Except for
is
the fact that they were showing him being beaten down by these characters and completely ignored, and that being the reason that the Star Brand chose him.
I
Almost,
don't.
it seemed like.
Yeah, like it picked somebody who was a nobody, but I think they did it like in error. However, like he is the star brand now, so it's
Right.
not like he can do anything about it. Kind of want to like talk more about him as a character after becoming the star brand. He seems like a problematic character, if you're asking me.
Yeah. At first, it seemed like he was upset and then almost enjoyed it and then was upset about it again.
It definitely goes to show like he cannot and does not understand how to control his power.
Yeah, he really doesn't. He has no way of. Ugh. But yeah, no, he has no way of controlling his power. He also seems to be a little bit, as far as like morality goes, he's definitely in the gray area.
Right.
Um, he's definitely not cut out to be
A
a
superhero.
hero. Yeah. Um, Speaking of like the morality and things like that, I really like Cap's like initial like take on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
How he's like, oh, I want to like protect this kid, but like at the same
You're
time,
making it hard, kid.
Yeah, and that actually leads me to an interesting thing with the second issue. If you guys don't mind me bringing that up real quick,
No, go ahead.
no, yeah, go into it.
was you made a great point where he was like back and forth of, oh, I deserve this, or no, I don't deserve this, and then the thing happens with the brain, and they're all like, whoa. It honestly is showing that he can't control his powers, but I don't know. I feel like it's going to be interesting for that particular character because Marvel has often done the whole like, what happens when someone who's like worthy or not worthy gets an ability like this, and you either have them go down the like superhero line or the villain line,
Right.
and I feel like they've done a good job at showing that this person wants none of that and doesn't know what they want to do yet.
Yeah, they're very much like new to this. They could go either way. Like we could become villains. We could not. Like, oh man. Um, Sorry. As people
No.
are watching, they could probably surmise why we're a little distracted.
We are having a hell of a time right now. Oh, let's just do a simple delivery, talk about some comic books. We didn't
Yeah.
expect to get fucked.
Straight in the ass. I got somebody's horse here. I can't ride it. It
That's
won't
mine.
move. It won't move.
Mine is set to friends can.
I changed it after you guys kind of screwed me.
Okay. Well, all right. Now that we've addressed the elephant in the room, I want to go back to the comic real quick.
Yeah.
I kind of like that they referenced the the people on Mars, Abyss and Ex Nihilo again. Those characters are pretty cool, and the fact that we kind of see what he was planning to play out a bit.
Yeah, that kind of threw me off because with the way that he was acting when he first gets introduced, I definitely did not expect him to, we have to follow the rules of the universe, we have to do these things correctly, and then he
I got
goes
the
around and it's
complete
just
opposite
like,
feeling from that. I felt like he was just like, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want, and everybody else can kind of deal with it, you know?
No, totally. I
I didn't
I
even
never
expect
trusted
his
it.
son or whatever they're calling it to kind of go back on the way he was. You know what I mean? Like he seemed like he was helping Tony, and then it was like advantageous for him to take over and run off with it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. He's very much for himself.
Yeah.
He's not a character that is going to like side with anyone, at least not yet.
Right.
And honestly, I can see Captain Universe doing the same thing eventually. Like
Yeah.
they're all kind of in the same. Oh, come on. Sorry, guys. Oh, he killed my horse too.
is there a way to end it?
No, we kind of just have to.
You have to let it run.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Damn it.
Do you have any? So you jump to the second issue. What other notes do you have down, Shane, that you wanted to talk about?
Sure. Let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. Because there was a couple of lines in the second issue that I saved because it just kind of really felt a little bit impactful. I want to get into the fact that like Cap has been, okay, we have to help this person. This is a really dangerous thing, yada yada yada. But the way he goes about it scares the hell out of the kid.
Well, I don't think it was him that scared him so much more than the rest of the team. It felt like to me.
I mean, yeah, one cannot remain calm when Hulk is in your face. That is very true.
Right.
And Thor too, because
I feel like there definitely could have been a couple more steps there, but I also understand that because of how much power that dude has, it was incredibly hard to judge the situation.
Yes.
right. Not only that, but he did murder those people, whether it was on purpose or not. It still
It
happened.
still happened.
Like,
There's still consequences for that.
and it's not like they're just dead bodies. He disintegrated their skin down to the bone. Like,
Yeah.
it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it was a wild beginning of that story.
Definitely, yeah. And honestly, where they put those characters at the end of the story, I think was merited. That was the right thing to do. Like, honestly, until they can figure out what's going on.
What to do with them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I wish I could remember the name of the space station they put them on.
Wasn't that the one, and I might have the reference wrong, but when Reed was talking to Tony in one of the issues,
Uh-huh.
and they were kind of going over, and he was just like, oh, this is your plan. And he was like, yeah, no, this is, and he was talking about building something around the Earth. That's what it reminded me of. It might not have been the same thing, but that's what I was thinking when I saw that.
So what you're remembering is the Dyson sphere that Tony
Yes.
was building around the sun.
Yeah, it very much looked like that to me.
That's where they are. That's the same thing. So that was pretty cool because that happened in New Avengers, and happened in New Avengers, and they crossed it and referenced it in regular Avengers. So that's a cool thing about reading both stories at once. You wouldn't have gotten that if we weren't,
Yeah, definitely.
And to add another level to that, I'm trying to find out where, because Reed names the Dyson Sphere, and I forget exactly what he names it. But the name I've noticed it was actually of something that happened in Fantastic Four. He took the name of something from there and named it the Dyson Sphere after it. Yeah.
Let's see if I have that. I don't know if I have that saved.
I would imagine it's in issue number 4 or 5 of New Avengers, so I'm just gonna jump into that real fast.
Okay.
Yeah, here it is. I want to show you something. I want to show you my solution for our little problem. I can't believe it. You're building a Dyson Sphere. Soul's Hammer. That's what he calls it.
Soul's Hammer. Yeah, I do
It's
remember
called Soul's Hammer. So, in Hickman's Fantastic Four run, there is something that's being. It's a structure that's being built by there's a collective of reeds from across multiple universes. There's thousands of them, and essentially, in the effort to solve everything, these Reed Richards give up their life and their family to enter this pocket dimension where all the Reed Richards work together to solve everything. And one of them created a device called Soul's Hammer, and that's where Reed gets that name.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that leads me into a question. With this kind of getting into Secret Wars and universal crossings, like as we've seen with these 3 issues, is this going to explain some of those connections and tie-ins, or is this going to be kind of really out there in terms of coming to terms and understanding it all?
I don't know
Curiosity.
I don't know if I quite understand what you're saying, or what you're asking. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. Let me think of a better way to phrase it. Is it going to explain how all of these things connect? Because I know with Secret Wars, one of the things that kind of triggers it is the Skrulls taking over, right?
No, you're thinking of Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. Well, we've established at the beginning of this that my comic book knowledge is very limited.
Right. It's okay. So, that's the thing with Marvel. They love the term secret. They put it in front of everything. They got Secret Invasion, Secret Wars, Secret Empire, Secret Warriors, and
that's
it's
their specific hard on.
Right. Just like DC does Crisis everything. So I think by the time we're done reading the New Avengers, some of the other tie-in books I have in here, we'll get to a point where you're like, Secret Wars makes a lot of sense. I knew how they got here, where they were going, and it's going to come all together real nice. I was worried that we were going to miss something because we didn't read Hickman's Fantastic Four. I'm reading it currently. It's not relevant. It's got the little tidbits like the Soul's Hammer thing, but that's such a small reference, and it really just adds juice to it, But you're gonna get where we're going, and it's gonna make sense.
Okay, so with that in mind, we've established that with this character, and I'm sorry, can you please tell me the name again? The Star
Brand.
Starbrand. Thank you. I just pulled up the page in my notes.
Damn
yeah, on the last page where he was like, what was the living consciousness? We just killed the Starbrand. You killed the Earth. We broke the world. That seemed like it should have had more major consequences than just having a tiny explosion and them being locked up. Like, I expected more to happen in that. Is that going to have lasting repercussions, or is that kind of a spoiler question?
I'm sure it's going to have more repercussions. How lasting are they? I don't know. I mean,
Gotcha.
remember the end of this storyline. We get to Secret Wars. At the what starts Secret Wars? The heat death of the universe. So like, will it have lasting repercussions after Secret Wars? Probably not. But like, we're getting to that point. You know, it's gonna have
Right.
something to do here. And like, honestly, Shane, Avengers itself has 44 issues in it. New Avengers has 33 issues in it. So there's a lot of story left to go. So I'm sure you're going to get some of the answers to your questions. Will everything pay off the way you had hoped to? Maybe not, because it's just how writing goes, right? They don't
Oh,
always get a
totally.
chance to touch on everything. But I think you'll be satisfied by the end of it.
I guess I'm just surprised for coming into it from like having very little comic knowledge, because when something, and this is just my perspective, that big happens in a novel, you're going to have several pages to explain like, oh, this is what that just meant. But I have to remind myself that, in reading something like this, throwing around the word, throwing around like, oh, this is the universe, or you just killed the earth, like that's a typical fucking Tuesday for these people.
Right. And
Yeah.
also, like, those type of lines gets people to come back for issues, right? Because they're in a business, they're selling comics. So,
Yeah. And I just keep thinking it from a novel perspective, where I'm like, you got a lot of writing to pull yourself out of that, but I'm sure they're going to, just in a more refined and complex way.
right. Yeah.
Which is kind of an oxymoron, but you get what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's going to take a little longer than it would if you were reading a book. You know.
Yeah.
So, any other points, Al, Shane, that you want to touch on? I think we went into these a little in detail here. So,
Um.
While being distracted by getting
Yeah.
killed over and over
That
again.
was a little frustrating.
yeah,
No, I just want to bring up the point that we were talking about before we got on. I thought it was cool to see the power of him. Basically throwing Hulk into space and surviving Hulk coming crashing down on him again.
yeah,
And that just kind of shows again how powerful he
Good
is.
point.
And like it's gonna if this kid ends up being a problem, if they can't figure out what to do with him, he's gonna be an issue later. You know,
yeah.
hopefully. I mean, that'd be cool to experience that little bit of it.
If he decides to become a villain, they're gonna need to do everything they can, right? Because
Yeah,
Captain Marvel, Hulk, and Thor all had trouble with him.
yeah,
So, and they were fighting together.
and that's three of the strongest Avengers right there. You know.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good point. Yeah, no, that is. I'm curious about the power now, because dude threw Hulk straight at him. Wow.
and it didn't even phase him.
No, he was clearly confused, but that's a really good point.
Right. Do we want to maybe focus our talk a little bit on She-Hulk and then wrap up?
Yeah, we can talk about She-Hulk for a bit if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
All right. So, like, nothing like a good old episode of She-Hulk that introduces Mephisto, right, guys?
So
uh,
yeah, this episode, I watched it last Thursday, so I'm a little uh, forgetful of what happened, but I definitely think it picked back up a little bit.
Oh, God, you have Madison with a Y and two N's.
Yeah, it was interesting. I like
Madison,
the whole Doctor Strange aspect of it. Bringing the mystical realms more into it than just what we got from Wong. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, totally. Did you like how the guy's name in the episode? His name's Donnie Blaze.
Yeah,
A nice Ghost Rider reference there.
yeah, that was good.
Uh, yeah, and I really do hope that at one point in a Doctor Strange or like an Avengers movie, Wong is sitting there watching The Sopranos with Madison.
That would be a fun little nod to the show.
It would be.
I would watch a show with just the two of them commentating on things.
I don't know if I'd watch a
That
whole
would be
show, but I'll take another episode of Madison.
Yeah.
Like a 30 to 20 minute short where it's just Madison trying to comment on thing and Wong is trying not to get annoyed.
They're best friends. Where she's like,
What kind of bonding do you get over yak milk? It's the best.
she's like, Wongers. Oh my God, you're in traffic court. What were you texting while driving? Tell them you were texting 911. It works. Thank you.
And
I
just
could
like,
feel
no,
She-Hulk's
that doesn't
aneurysm
work.
building.
This show is so. Oh my God.
I do like the fact that it's getting into the law, and I know every episode it kind of like throws that in there a little bit more at a time. But I went into this thinking it was going to be like a slice of life kind of. It wasn't going to be super major. It was just going to be this, sort of derpy. Here's what you get,
Mhm.
and I'm not disappointed. Like that is exactly what we've been getting.
Yeah.
What do you
I
guys
do
thoughts?
still wish there was a little bit of, context of how this is going to tie in and what it's going to become. You know what I mean? As far as how the show fits into the MCU. I just feel like they let that go a little bit, but the last episode kind of brought the fun back for me a little bit.
That I feel like the Madison character really just tied it in real good. She was just such a funny character. As
Yeah.
far as like broad spectrum for this show, we'll see tie-ins with the Bruce thing where he's going back to Sakaar. So I think that's going to have something to do with setting up like a World War Hulk story, which would be kind of cool. I also think that they're trying to steal her blood in order to make Red Hulk somehow. So I think we'll see that spin off that way too.
So do we think we're going to get a recasting of
Yes.
Thunderbolt Ross?
So I don't know if we're going to get a recasting of Thunderbolt Ross. Someone else might become the Red Hulk. I don't know much about that character.
No, me neither.
But William Hurt passed away. Rest in peace. But
rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
But Red Hulk could just be another character. Like I saw somebody on TikTok saying that maybe Red Guardian could become Red Hulk because they're like theorizing because he's in
Right.
the Thunderbolts movie and they don't have a Red Hulk in Thunderbolts and blah blah blah.
Speaking of Thunderbolts, from what I've understood, this is like a darker, like more espionage type Avengers. Is that right from like a basic perspective?
Think Suicide Squad-esque.
Oh, okay, so that makes sense why Bucky is on it. He's been wanting to die since the 40s. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like
pretty
usually they're like villains and anti-heroes that come together. I think the only difference is they don't really have bombs in their neck and they're not necessarily like criminals trying to shave time off their sentence. They're essentially just really good at what they do and they're like a secret unit,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was really like watching the Marvel stuff where Bucky was on there, and it kind of surprised me that he would be doing something like that. But now that you've put it into that context, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean Yelena's doing it too, so it kind of just seems like we found a group of people with a particular set of skills to do a job. You know.
Mhm.
The only thing I question about that is, from my understanding of it, aren't they kind of against the Avengers? At least it seems like from the MCU, where you have what the heck's her name from Seinfeld, creating this team looking like she wants to take the Avengers down.
Well, I don't think she really has anything to take down at the moment. Like, what are the Avengers really? Who are the Avengers right now? Where have they
Yeah, but
been? I
like
mean,
that was the whole thing. That's how she got Yelena, right? It was like she wanted to give Yelena a chance to take down Hawkeye, you know, and
she was already working for her before Hawkeye was even brought up. You could tell that she knew Val in that scene. She goes, "Val, what do you want? Why are you here? I have a
okay,
mission for you."
Oh,
Like, I don't
that's a good
think.
point.
I mean,
maybe I missed that then.
Val definitely has some like agenda. She does have an agenda. I don't think it's to take out the Avengers. I mean, the Avengers are basically broken up at this point.
Yeah,
Um, John Walker is not a bad dude. He took the super soldier serum, but he is a Medal of Honor like warrior. He served the country. He's just a meathead. That like the
right.
super soldier serum didn't mix well with. But he's not a bad guy. Um, Yelena's not a bad person either. Red Guardian's just a goofy soldier that worked for the Soviet Union. But he's not bad either. Um, Ghost was a villain of their movie, but Ghost is also like on their way to becoming fixed. I mean, if it wasn't for Thanos, they probably would be fixed already.
Yeah, and our
Uh,
favorite
And she's been working
mercenary.
for Shield forever.
who? Oh,
Ghost.
Ghost. Yeah, Ghost was a Shield agent. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean Bucky's not a bad guy either. Um,
No, I wasn't thinking of Bucky. I was thinking of
oh, Taskmaster.
Taskmaster. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
Taskmaster.
lame Taskmaster we got.
Yeah, I mean Taskmaster was basically brainwashed all those years. So like, let's see like what they look like now.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, I don't. I think this is more stuff we can kind of just talk about not recording though. Um,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's fair. We kind of diverged a bit.
yeah, so let's end this here. Just want to thank everybody for listening.
Yeah, thank
Remember,
you.
please subscribe, like, comment, anything.
Sorry about the fighting of cowboys in the middle of it. That
Yeah,
kind of
we all
threw us
got
off tonight.
distracted there.
Just a tad, right? And then
Oh,
again, I'm Ian,
I'm Al.
I'm Shane.
and this was Comic Book Wednesdays. Good night, everybody.
Have a
Have a
good
good
one.
night.